Survivors of COVID-19, coronavirus, what changes have you noticed to your health since you've recovered?
I had COVID in early March. I am 69. When I recovered, I was short of breath for a couple of weeks. I might still have slightly reduced lung function still, but I am almost back to normal.
I'm 28. I had it in late March. I was short of breath for about a month. After that, I'm back to feeling 100% normal. Like it never even happened.
Same experience here. Maybe up to 2 months with short breath, mostly when exercising, never without any exertion. Brand new now also.
I wasn't hospitalized. I felt sick, so I went down to the urgent care in my town. Got tested, and they called me 2 days later to tell me my test results were positive. They called in some prescriptions to my pharmacy, which was a Z-Pack and an inhaler. I had my mom pick them up for me, and I just stayed home in my house for 15 days. I guess my case was fairly mild compared to others. It was basically just flu symptoms, fever, diarrhea, etc. Along with not being able to breathe or take a deep breath without immediately going into a coughing fit. I was extremely short of breath for about a month. I literally couldn't walk 50 feet or climb stairs without being bent over, huffing and puffing, trying to catch my breath.
Not speaking for but I'm 22 and had it in early March. I was tested but never hospitalized. I had diarrhea, fever, and severe shortness of breath for 5 days. Lost nearly 15 pounds, and afterwards had a slight gargling sensation in my lungs in the following 2 months. But now, I am back to normal like it never happened. I have had constant contact with my father, who is 70 years old. He has never shown any symptoms to it, like he might have antibodies.
I'm 24, male, completely fit and healthy. Caught the COVID really early in the lockdown. Was properly ill for 2 weeks and took me 6 weeks overall to recover. Initially, even just walking was difficult. But now I am fully back to normal, back to good health. I'm 28. Started getting sick March 15th, and was laid out for 4 to 5 weeks, completely devastatingly exhausted and with one of the worst head and eye aches I've ever had, as a chronic migraine sufferer. After I recovered, I would still get regular dizzy spells when standing up, walking, any sort of minor activity. I almost fainted partaking in the extreme sport of hanging up laundry. That has been the biggest thing for me, the lingering exhaustion and total loss of all my muscle mass and stamina. I'll suddenly get super short of breath from a short and slow walk, and have to sit with my head between my knees and do deep breaths, and drink some water because my face has suddenly gone completely numb, and my ears are ringing and my vision is browning out. Now these spells are coming less frequently, but still a couple a week rather than a couple a day. I think based on the rate of recovery it will be another month or 2 before they fully stop. I'm not sure how long the muscles will take to recover. I find them to get incredibly weak and noodly at the drop of a hat. Like doing basic stretching or walk a couple of blocks and they just shit out on me. They seem more susceptible to strains or pulls now as well. It's not great and I don't recommend it.
I'm 22 years old, and despite all probability, the disease hit me really hard. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks and had the usual symptoms such as high fever, dry cough and severe breathing difficulties. Meanwhile, I am healthy for nearly 2 months, but my lungs are partially scarred and I have problems getting enough air during even slow running. So I hope you stay safe and take care. It's not only old people who are suffering under COVID and its effects.
First sign of symptoms started March 13th. Kicked my ass so hard I quit smoking. Once the lingering cough subsided, and being able to resist my cravings for my vape or a cigarette, I feel better, but not the same. I'd always had this weird point of pride for my lung capacity. I could hold my breath for a while and I could swim your average apartment pool lengthwise twice on one breath. Even though it doesn't feel like I lost much capacity, I tried to swim underwater and couldn't even make it one go at my apartment's pool. I also can't belt it in my car like my voice isn't complete shit too. I'll start coughing and feel lightheaded pretty quickly. I don't feel like I lost lung capacity, but it's fairly obvious to myself that I did. Also, my sense of smell and taste have never really been the same. I couldn't smell onions for weeks, if that gives a good frame of reference. All things considered, I had a very mild case, but it still felt like I had walking pneumonia for 3 weeks.
Caught it early, on the 2nd of March when I showed symptoms. Knocked me on my ass, couldn't breathe at all. 3 months later I still feel like I've just had to run for a bus. Lungs have a cold burning feeling in them all the time. It sucks bad.
My grandparents had it, and they are like 89 years old. My grandpa didn't have any symptoms, but my grandma had symptoms. They did the test on both of them. They did the test on my grandma like 3 times, the 3 times the test was negative, but in my grandpa they only did it once, and he was positive. My grandma ended being hospitalized for 3 weeks, until she recovered, and then they sent her home with O2. I am guessing that more people than it is estimated had the virus, but a lot of them didn't even notice. And this is probably a reason it did spread so fast and was so hard to contain.
My grandparents both got COVID in March. For a while, my dad, aunt, and uncle cared for them at my grandparents' house. Eventually, my grandma went into the hospital, where they put her on a ventilator. My grandpa resisted a while because he's very anti-doctor in general, but eventually we convinced him to go in. He went on high levels of oxygen, but never a ventilator. We were very scared that my grandma especially wouldn't make it. Amazingly, they were both able to pull through, and my grandma was released about 2 weeks ago, and my grandpa was released yesterday. My grandma somehow got nerve damage in her arm at some point during the process, we aren't entirely sure how. She has absolutely no use of her left arm, and is struggling with walking, but it's making quick progress walking, with a one-armed walker. The doctors say her arm will likely heal over the course of a year, but for the moment she is pretty much unable to do any cooking, cleaning, etc. My grandpa is in much worse shape. He really wasn't ready to be released, but the insurance forced him out. He is still on fairly high oxygen, grandma is completely off of oxygen, and has a lot of trouble walking. Additionally, his appetite is completely gone, and it is a chore to get him to eat or drink. Both grandparents are slowly acting more and more like themselves, although I suspect my grandpa will never be quite the same. Despite all of the things I have mentioned above, I still feel extremely grateful that both of them are still living today. The odds of both of them surviving the condition they are in at their age are remarkable, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Diagnosed on March 31st, did not require hospitalization. I managed it at home with Tylenol, rest, and fluids. I was on sick leave for 2.5 weeks. I used to walk 1.5 miles with no issue on my commute to the hospital. I now get winded walking 0.2 miles from the bus stop and nearly blacked out after running a block to try to catch the bus.
I had it but only showed one symptom, COVID toes, and yes, it's real. I actually thought my doctor was joking when she informed me. This was late March and my toes are just now starting to look less purple/more normal. While it was happening, it was annoying but not too painful, just strange. I don't know whether this is attributed to COVID or isolation, but I find myself having some pretty extreme mood swings since I found out. Some days I'm very optimistic and using this experience as an opportunity to work on emotional growth, and others I just feel depressed and completely stuck in my own head. Edit: if anyone is currently experiencing this, a warm foot soak with 1/8 - 1/4 cup vinegar and 1 tablespoon salt mixed in for about 20 minutes, really help the itching/burning sensation.
My whole family contracted the virus 2 weeks back. I had a nasal congestion, fever for 2 days and no coughing or shortness of breath. My father had fever for 10 days, no coughing or shortness of breath. My mom had fever for 6 days, mild dry cough and no shortness of breath. My brother also had symptoms similar to my mom. All of us have recovered now and feel much better. Our sense of smell and taste are returning slowly. The symptoms vary from person to person and you should always go for a test. The real problem with the virus is how shitty it makes you feel for 2 weeks. You have anxiety with all the reports coming of people dying from it. Your body is always tired and you feel sleepy all of the time. Eating food is a chore as there is no taste or smell. You sweat a lot or get the chills, so you have to stay hydrated. Plus, you can't leave your room because of social distancing measures you have to observe. All of this adds up and you start to question your sanity after a week.
My husband and I had COVID-19 in April. We are from New York City. I developed pneumonia, as I have asthma. The thing I noticed the most after recovering is that my lung function decrease. I described it to my doctor as I feel like someone who hasn't run, is starting out, and has no stamina. Every action seems to make me breathless almost instantly. My asthma, which was well controlled prior to COVID-19 and pneumonia, has been a nightmare to try and get under control ever since. None of my old meds work anymore, so my doctor and I have been trying to find a new regimen. I'm thankful for prednisone. My husband, who isn't asthmatic, also said that the issues he continues to face have to do with his lungs as well. He says he feels like he can't get a good deep breath anymore. Also, my sense of taste has changed. I lost my sense of smell, and it's mostly back, but things don't taste the same anymore. COVID-19 was awful. I've never had chills like that before. Full body racking chills that lasted for weeks. I've never been simultaneously burning hot and freezing cold at the same time. 0-10 do not recommend.
I was sick for 45 days, have been recovered for a couple months. I've had some cardiac complications that are hopefully not permanent. Lingering fatigue I can't shake, very unstable appetite, lots of joint pain that comes and goes. Fainted a few times. I'm recovered, but I don't feel normal a lot of the time. I'm 26, my dad is 62 and had it as well, and he's had severe joint pain after. Neither of us can handle alcohol anymore either, one drink and I feel like shit the next morning.
Had it in early February. Extended cough for a month. Seriously, I'm still occasionally coughing, and I've never had flu or anything before. High fever for 3 days, loss of taste and smell for a month. Other than a lingering slight cough, my health has been fine.
I had no underlying health issues, and I'm 34. I never usually get sick, coughs, flu, or colds. My kids haven't been sick, they're ages 9 and 15, but I've recently received an NHS antibody check for my 9-year-old, which will be interesting.
I'm 19, I was fortunate to have virtually no symptoms other than taste, smell loss and shortness of breath. But I haven't gotten my taste back yet. Got COVID 3 months ago and it's honestly removed a whole dimension from my life. I eat a lot less now and I don't spend any extra money on food because it's worthless to me now. What taste I can perceive is faintly like chlorine. I know I could have had it way worse, but this sucks.
I'm wiped out. Been symptom-free, besides mild cough, for over a week, but I have no endurance. Can only manage a very slow walk and constantly feel like I need a nap. It's affected me cognitively as well. I have no attention span anymore. Can't work for more than 20 minutes at a time.
I'm 37. Had COVID in mid-March. I had trouble breathing until early May. I'll call it brain fog. Until mid-May. Just couldn't concentrate. I seem to be back to normal now. I might have reduced lung capacity. I don't really know because I usually work out by swimming, but my pool is closed. So I've done very little physical activity since recovering.
Me and my partner both had it back in March after we came back from Germany, and oh my god. My partner got sick first. I didn't realize the severity of corona at the time, so I took care of him without taking any precautions. He is 28 years old and I had to walk him to the shower, wash him as he leaned on me and cried because he felt so weak. He got better after about 2 weeks with lingering fatigue. I got sick a few days after he was at his worst. My whole body felt so heavy, like I was cemented to my bed. My muscles were aching like I've never felt before and I couldn't stop shivering. I needed help to walk to the bathroom and nearly fainted every time I stood up. I got better after about a week with no obvious lingering symptoms. Guess I was lucky.
Noticed my symptoms April 14th, almost died, and took a little more than a month to recover. Virus mostly spread to my lungs even though breathing was more difficult, but attacked my kidneys and testicles with a vengeance. It also wreaked havoc on my blood. A month after I'm recovered and testing negative, I'm still having kidney pain, and it took almost as long for my hormones to recover. Thanks for watching. If you have any stories you want to share, please write them in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on more videos like this.